Good afternoon from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Ross Johnston. In Titans news, Teron Davenport and Paul Kaharski have reported that Robert Salah will not be retaining defensive coordinator Denard Wilson. However, they will be retaining special teams coordinator John Fossil. Also, potential Titans offensive coordinator Brian Daboll completed an interview with the Bills this morning for their head coach position. Again, the report from Diana Rossini is that if Daboll does not get the Bills head coaching job, he is expected to land in Tennessee. In NFL news, there has been a coordinator hire as the Buccaneers are hiring former Falcons offensive coordinator Zach Robinson to be the OC in Tampa. Also, the Cowboys are zeroing in on Eagles secondary coach Christian Parker to be their new defensive coordinator. Lastly, the NFL has released its award finalists. No Cam Ward or Jeffrey Simmons in the Offensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year categories. The 5 MVP finalists are as follows: Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, and Matthew Stafford. For all your foundation repair, waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Good afternoon. Welcome in. Cover 2, presented by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. As we await an official announcement from the Titans on Robert Salah, all eyes, meanwhile, are in Buffalo for Brian Daboll watch. I'm Lucas Panzica, happy to be in for Zach Lyons today alongside the hitman Blaine Bishop. Switching things up a little bit. You walked in. You said, no, you stay right there. I'm going to sit in this seat.
Yeah. You were nice and comfy. You got it nice and warm with your big old badonka over there. So I said, hey, man, I'll switch it up, man. People, this is the point seat, and I've never gotten to be the point. And they just think I can't do the point, I guess. I don't know. But one thing Ross does say is, like, why is my seat so low?
I can't even fix it with the cameras.
Oh, my, I went too low. Well, I have to be real low because you know what? I want to make sure that my arms rest right here at the proper level. If not, I start hunching. And, you guys don't know this, but now everybody will know this. I have 3 herniated discs from playing ball. And so to keep and make sure my posture is correct and it doesn't flare up just from sitting too long. Yes. That is the reason why I'm always low as heck as I can go in that seat. And this one went, I guess, a little lower because, Buck's probably, got it made to his specific needs because he's a taller guy.
Yeah, he wears lifts in his shoes, but yes.
That is not true.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Meanwhile, I bumped this thing up. I'd love for people to think that I'm tall, but
I don't have a problem.
How long did this is just funny to look at on this show. I can't do anything.
The camera looks like it's not even looking at me.
I can't do anything.
Everything's backwards.
It's weird. Am I in the view now?
You're on it. It's just the levels are way off.
The thing, so I can't even see how I look on the camera.
104.5 The Zone TV if you want to get a look at the Hitman for yourself. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch as we all wait
I don't have a picture.
to see what happens in Buffalo. Brian Daboll is meeting with Bills decision makers today. They have other interviews set up. They met with Joe Brady yesterday. They'll meet with Jaguars offensive coordinator Grant Udinsky on Sunday, and we know, according to Diana Rossini, that the most likely landing spot for Brian Daboll is right here in Tennessee as Robert Saleh's offensive coordinator if he does not get the Bills head coaching job.
But he's interviewing right now, right?
He's interviewing right now. If it's not happening now, then it probably just wrapped up. If you're a Bills fan, is Brian Daboll 1A?
Oh, I don't know.
Is he your preferred candidate, you think?
I don't know. I would think that's the comfort level, right? They know him.
They know Joe Brady, too, but the best of Josh Allen came under Brian Daboll, who's obviously had head coaching experience.
It seems like that's just a natural deal to do. That's the easy route and keep everything going with Josh Allen, but you just never know how he's viewed there. I mean, they know him better than we do, but, man, that presser yesterday didn't make the ownership group there look good at all. So I don't know if he wants to go. He's familiar with them, but, man, that there, I don't know. I'll be a little cautious there, and the expectations there. I think they got rid of McDermott because they said he can't get them over the hump. I don't agree with that, but I think that's what they thought, kind of like Andy Reid. When you got to a point, he can't get him over the hump naturally. When he went to the Chiefs, he eventually did. and they were right in that call. I wouldn't have made that call either. So I think that's what they're thinking. But one thing I think they weren't thinking about is what was the exit strategy? Who were the top 3 coaches on your list? Because they were so late in the game. So, so I don't know if they had a punch list of guys because they seem to be moving kind of slow, almost like they're waiting on something outside of Daboll, because if you know Daboll's your guy, you would have went after him right off the bat.
You don't let him leave the building today, right?
I don't know, man. I don't think they thought this one all the way out. Maybe they should have asked Keon Coleman for some advice.
I know you guys played a lot of that audio yesterday from Terry Pegula's press conference.
Did we? Did we roll?
You guys at least talked about it.
Yeah, we didn't play a lot of it. That was interesting.
But the way he made it sound as though, Blaine, he did not have that made up in his mind until he saw the reaction of the players in the locker room. The definition of an emotional decision, right? So I'm with you. I don't think there was a lot of thought behind it whatsoever, but more just a feeling of Terry Pegula walking into that locker room. Just the sentence from his press conference of, "We fired Sean McDermott because of the result on Saturday," to me told you everything you needed to know.
Yeah, that was...
At no point in the list of the reasons why the Bills lost on Saturday, in my mind, can you point to coaching when you're looking at the top 5 reasons why the Bills lost that game on Saturday.
I definitely wouldn't go there. I would say, Josh Allen and the turnovers, but you could also say, the defense getting a stop there at the end. They got to stop the game before. But I would have been thinking that, I'm going to fire the coach because of the emotional letdown by all the players. That emotional letdown is because they felt like they let everybody down, not only their teammates themselves, but also the fan group and then their coaches. So I would have looked at it differently. That's why I always wonder, who do these billionaires consider people for advice and consider say, hey, let's hold up for 24 hours. Let's think about this. And because we need to, if we are, who's on the punch list? And then the punch list, do we think they're better than McDermott? And that's all you have to do. You're not telling them what to do, but most of the time, what you have next to the right and the left of the guys are, yes, sir, billionaires, people they're not going to give you constructive criticism and great advice so you will think before you act. And that's what's happened here. And then he looked silly there in the presser. That you cannot have that happen. I mean, they didn't. When I listened back, they didn't ask him a specific question. He went down the road of Keon Coleman. So he volunteered information. You're supposed to keep it short and sweet. That's it. So, naturally, you're not in front of the media a lot answering these questions. I think they hadn't heard from him in 6 years or something like that. That tells you shouldn't be out in the forefront of this.
Pegula interrupted an answer from Brandon Beane to interject and say that thing about Keon Coleman, that Brandon Beane was being a team player, making excuses for Brandon Beane, drafting a player that's still on the roster and on his rookie contract.
How do you think that makes him feel, his teammates?
I can't even. I mean, just unbelievable stuff yesterday. An absolute clinic in what not to do at a podium for an owner yesterday.
But yesterday, this is what I did say, though. I said, from a GM from another team? An opportunity. Can I get him for a 5th or a 6th?
No doubt.
That's how I looked at it.
But you don't value him.
Even whatever he's worth, you guys obviously don't like him. Can I get him for cheap? That's what I'm looking at. And guess what? Now the pressure's not on being a second-round pick. If he's just a contributor, I win. And then if he turns into something even better, a solid player, I'm going to win there. Now, if he doesn't, I didn't give up very much. I gave up a 6. Yeah. See, that's kind of, and I think he can live up to a 6th-round pick.
No doubt. No doubt. He's a good player. I mean, he's a talented player, I should say.
I just don't know what went so wrong there. Maybe he...
Off the field stuff.
I know, but what do they say that keeps happening? Man, he wasn't even dressing during the regular season.
He was a healthy scratch multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times. It ended up going over 400 yards on the year, right? I mean, when you talk about busts, there have been far worse for second-round picks. You talk about what happened here with Treylon Burks, right? It pales in comparison to what Keon Coleman. You'd love to have any sort of production from Burks that you had from Coleman with... All right, 960 yards in 2 years.
All right, where was Elikai Manor? What is his stats? I know he was a 4th-round pick, right?
4th rounder.
I think he was over 500, right?
If not, then, he was. 515 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had over 100 more yards and the same amount of touchdowns as Keon Coleman.
And played less games, I think, right?
Io Manor appeared in 16 games. Coleman appeared in 13.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So they're about even. Oh, I'll give me another guy for a 6th round. That's just like this guy. Somewhat similar in body types, too, as well. Big frame. Yeah, I take it. I need receivers, so, yeah.
Not to mention, if the Bills hire Joe Brady, you already had Joe Brady, right? Joe Brady was your offensive coordinator under Sean McDermott. If you were to fire Sean McDermott to in turn hire Joe Brady, you're making that assumption that Joe Brady can run an organization at the same level that Sean McDermott has, or while maintaining the offensive pedigree and the play calling that Joe Brady already had in-house under Sean McDermott. Unless you fear that Joe Brady would be a head coach elsewhere, which, I don't know that he will. There's still 6 open jobs. But Buffalo, not exactly, setting the standard on how to handle this type of situation.
Yeah, I would think that if I was them, I would have went all on Dayball. And then I think Josh Allen has a great relationship with Mr. Webb there, Davis Webb, and he's with another team. But he was on the staff there with them, and I think he's an up-and-comer. So I would kind of try to make it consistent. The question is, he's a proven player, Josh Allen. How much say-so do you give him in making this hire? Do they go in a whole different route and say, hey, we're going to go defensive guy, and then we'll, make sure that we have an offensive coordinator that you've worked with? Or do we go all in on the coach you want? And is that why Dayball's there? I don't know. Because he was part of his development when he was a younger player. I don't know how much he contributed to him being an MVP caliber player, but he definitely was part of his development as a young player. So, that's when a player, unlike Cam Ward, he's a proven player. He should have some say-so, not a rookie player.
Right. Lamar Jackson, Steve Bisciotti said, will have some sort of input on the Ravens head coaching job. Not sure about what Josh Allen's role in that will be as the search continues for not just the Bills, but 5 other openings across the NFL. I'm sure by the end of this weekend, we'll have some answers. Meanwhile, we're waiting on answers for the Titans offensive coordinator position. There are some new names that have dropped. Tom Pelissero of NFL Network reporting some possible candidates to come in and run the offense under Robert Salah. So we'll go through those when we come back. It's Cover 2 on 104.5 The Zone. So can the hire of Robert Salah, Blaine, be fully evaluated before we know who the offensive coordinator of the Titans is going to be? As we continue on here on Cover 2, presented by All Four Seasons Garage Doors.
What was your question again? I was too busy rocking Nipsey.
Do you feel like the hire can be fully graded or evaluated before we know who the offensive coordinator is? Or do you have an opinion on the hire regardless of who comes in that role?
Well, that's kind of an interesting question in that naturally you want to separate the head coach when you're judging, but with the place where we're at with the Titans is got to make sure we get this offensive coordinator set in stone and make sure that that's a good fit with Cam Ward. So right now I thought Salah was a solid hire. I actually liked it. It probably was, if I had my wishes, I wish we could have paired up Salah, McDaniel, and Fossil. 3 really head coaches at what they do. And I think then you sell that, and then we know we're going to have everything run correctly. These guys are experienced at what they do. They're excellent at what they do. They're X and O's guys, by the way, and I think that's pivotal in today's game, especially when you're trying to get vetted from the young players. I think they coexist really well, and they have some toughness to them, the way they go about their business. Different styles. All 3 are different styles, which I like. That means you can relate to all forms of type of athletes. So I like that. So, yeah, the offensive coordinator is his biggest hire. So I think we have to wait a little bit, but I'm definitely on board with Salah. Yeah, he was probably second on the list if I had a wish list. Yeah.
Well, to your point about potentially having 3 sort of head coach profiles at head coach and the 2 coordinator spots, John Bones Fossil, Paul Kaharski reported, will stay on as a special teams coordinator. Has not been a head coach, has been an interim coach in his career, but I don't know if either of you guys, Ross or Blaine, caught Jeffrey Simmons' interview on Bussin' with the Boys. I was able to listen to most of it yesterday. Jeff, and you've heard other players say this too, said John Bones Fossil can be a head coach in this league. Just the way the guy commands a room, the relationships he has with players across the roster.
I thought he should have got an interview. Just out of pure necessity of watching them on the sideline, how he would navigate with the head coaches, whether it was McCoy or Callahan. He was always involved in the management and making decisions there, because special teams is involved in all of that. And then I understand, Jeff said that he was actually running some of those decisions in the meetings, right?
Yeah, that's what he was talking about, which is like, why do we let it get to that? Not anything against Fossil, more just like, why is the head coach not leading that stuff?
I never heard of that. I mean, Fisher would run all that. I'm sure Vrabel did. That was... Yeah, that kind of how you, especially veteran players, that's been in this league and seen how it's done, especially, Vrabel. I mean, followed him, one of the best time management type coaches in the NFL. That was odd to hear that.
It was very revealing. I'd encourage any Titans fan to go listen to that interview.
How stunned were you? Or surprised?
I surprised at just how... And look, Jeffrey Simmons had only ever played for Mike Vrabel, but just how often Jeffrey had to kind of reset himself by saying, look, nothing against Brian Callahan. He's a great person. It felt like that was said multiple times during the interview. If that tells you anything about how, that conversation went. No question about it. But yeah, Jeffrey Simmons, a lot of things like the 2-minute situations, said he didn't feel like they prepared for those situations nearly enough. They didn't go over those type of situations nearly enough. Of course, Jeffrey Simmons coming from the first 5 years of his NFL career where he felt like he was prepared for any given situation in a game ever, and that just wasn't quite happening. And maybe too much of the good cop side of a head coach from Brian Callahan.
Yeah, he was a great human being, that's for sure. But that was stunning for most coaches to me to even think that from a player's perspective that wasn't done. I mean, I'm going to just say this. Coach Fisher, there was not a stone uncovered. We practice the Music City Miracle every Saturday.
Coach Lowry.
Yeah, Coach Lowry, right, who was with the Ravenwood, right? We would practice forever. You know what they would call it? Situational football. And it would just run. I mean, we was like, oh, my gosh, man, some of this stuff we are never going to
do this.
Right, but we were ready for it. So it wasn't something of a surprise. Using multiple people. Even when we would have meetings, Ross is down. Who's his backup? And if you don't freaking stand up and you his backup and you don't know who the backup is, oh, man, it was a you are getting MF'd in that meeting. And by the way, when that happens, that's the day before the game. And if you don't know that you're the backup, you liable, especially if you don't have some recognition in this league, you liable that be your last game if you didn't know you were the backup. And mind you now, sometimes the backup is a starter on offense or defense. And most of those guys don't want to play a special team. I don't want to do that. I may get hurt down there because special teams is actually the hardest thing to do. Offense, defense is, it's easy sledding. Special teams is different. You got to be a warrior. It is a totally different animal. I don't know how many times I got just spun up in the air, trying to jump over people, walk away with bruises all over the place. Yeah, the special teams is tough because you're trying to earn your worth because all you want is that opportunity to start on offense or defense. Get your opportunity. And, sometimes I always give the term luck. It's more than that. But somebody has to give you an opportunity. And when somebody gets nicked up or hurt, they have to believe that you can get it done. And then you go out there and do it. And they say, we see promise. And then I say, hey, well, we can, even though the other guy may be still better than you, we could save ourselves a whole bunch of money. And we think you could potentially be as good as that guy. They take some of those risks. So that's why special teams, it's vital. It's a whole unit, and it is part of the game. Fossil's one of the best. When we hired him, I was like, special teams, that will be no longer an issue.
And it was.
It was better than I expected.
It was one of the biggest strengths of the team after being quite the opposite the year prior. Yeah. No question. Accountability sounded like it was something that lacked here in these last 2 years of the Callahan era, hearing Jeffrey Simmons talk about it. So here are the Titans getting a former head coach in Robert Salah coming in. John Bones Fossil will remain in the building, according to Paul Kaharski. On that note, Kaharski also reported Tony Oden, the cornerbacks coach that worked under Salah in New York, will remain in the building, and Denard Wilson, unsurprisingly, will not. So the search for the offensive coordinator kind of is what comes to the forefront here as we still await the Titans' official announcement on Robert Salah. Tom Pelissero of NFL Network tweeted a couple hours ago, the Titans continue to work through offensive coordinator options with Cliff Kingsbury, Arthur Smith, Brian Dable, Adam Stenavich, and Bobby Slowick among the potential options. All have OC experience as Robert Salah looks for the right man to work with quarterback Cam Ward. They all have offensive coordinator experience. I will add the only one that does not have play calling experience is Adam Stenavich, the Packers offensive coordinator who works under Matt LaFleur. Stenavich and Slowick have worked with Robert Salah at some point in their careers during their time in San Francisco. Salah has never worked directly with Cliff Kingsbury, Arthur Smith, or Brian Dable. There is that possibility, though, Blaine, as 3 of those 5 names have been head coaches in this league. There is the possibility, it's very real, that the Titans could have a head coach that is on his second time as a head coach, an offensive coordinator that's been a head coach in this league, and a special teams coordinator that at the very least has been an interim head coach in this league.
Yeah, that's what I said. Leadership all over the place. So they're covering themselves in more ways than one this go round, and it's helping them in making decisions actually. So I kind of like where we're going, man. But this one here, we got to get this OC right. Do you guys like any one of the OCs, like in particular that's one of the finalists? Let's give it that term, I guess.
I get excited about Stenavich, honestly. Really? He coached O-line with the Packers in 2019 and 2020. You know how many times Aaron Rodgers got sacked in 2020? 20 times all season. Wow. Like, that stuff to me excites me. And he, Lucas, I'm sure you've seen, he's very highly regarded. Obviously, we've never seen the play calling aspect from him,
I don't know much,
which is a little scary considering what we just came from.
Yeah.
But as far as an up and comer goes, he might be as good as it gets, honestly.
How would you feel about a first-time play caller as Robert Salah's offensive coordinator, which he did in New York with Mike LaFleur? Didn't work. Obviously, Zach Wilson playing quarterback, and then Nathaniel Hackett came in when Aaron Rodgers came in. But how would you feel about a first-time play caller as the Titans offensive coordinator?
Sitting from where? As the ownership group?
What's that?
From the view of where? Of just Salah?
I think just your view.
Yeah, your opinion on a first-time play caller.
Well, my view would be different than Salah's. Here's why I say that is. He's going to hire a guy that he believes in. I'm going to hire to make sure I cover what we didn't have before. And so me going with a first-time play caller, I wouldn't do it. Because he must understand what he's following. And so that is a risk now. I am all in when I hire a head coach to let him hire his guys. If they're available. Now, I would say, hey, man, we went down this road before. It didn't work for us. So just make sure you're all in when you make this decision about a guy that you think can be a great play caller. You did this before, right, with the Jets? How did that work out? So I'm just letting you know, we did the same thing here, and it didn't work out. So now that's 2 examples of it doesn't work out. Not to say it won't, but I'm telling you what you're following. And so I just want to know, let him know what's at stake. I want you to hire your guy. That's it. Because now I'm basically soft playing. I'm holding you accountable if it doesn't work out. That's what I'm telling him. But I want you to grab your guys, the ones you believe in.
Jim on the F&M Bank chat says, I can't stomach a first-time play caller this time. Joe says, don't want a first-timer. Emmett says, no first-time play caller on offense. Yeah. Heck no, after Brian Callahan, LOL. Greg says, Salah needs an experienced offensive coordinator. And Bobby Slowick getting some love in the F&M Bank chat.
Yeah.
Bobby Slowick, if they don't get Brian Dable, Slowick, number 2. That is Jack Ripper on YouTube. So Bobby Slowick, the passing game coordinator for Mike McDaniel in Miami this past year. How has the conversation changed around him since the Houston Texans' departure? As Slowick leaves, sounded like he and CJ Stroud butted heads. He obviously helped author one of the better rookie seasons we've seen in the modern era from a quarterback in CJ Stroud. There's a dip there in year 2. Slowick leaves, and with Stroud, the situation has not improved. And Bobby Slowick worked under Mike McDaniel this past season.
I just would want to know what happened there in Houston with Slowick and C.J. Stroud, because they were saying there was issues even coming out of the draft.
Yeah, the combine.
Yeah, almost where, C.J. Stroud thought the Texans would never draft him. So it got to that point where they just didn't see eye to eye on philosophy, scheme, system, and everything else. So, and it worked for a little while. So that shows you they can overcome, and, everybody wants the best because, their jobs all depend on it. So I really would want to get to the root cause of that, just to understand it, not to say that it would keep me from hiring him. But what I would do is I probably would want somebody with a little more experience in making my quarterbacks coach. That way, when the offensive coordinator that we do hire with experience, if he leaves and get a head coach job, I got somebody waiting right there, ready to be elevated again back to offensive coordinator. So I probably, if I got a veteran, OC, I'm thinking we're going to get Dave Ball and that Slowick as quarterback coach. I want to stack.
Well, that's the thing. The second phase plan is just as important as the first, right, for your offense. Albert Breer mentioned that in his article on how Salah landed the job, that the second phase plan for Cam Ward at quarterback was a critical part of those meetings, especially if you do land a coach like Brian Dable, who seems like he may be on the cusp of getting the Bills job here. Adam Schefter tweeted an hour ago, the Bills have completed their interview with Brian Dable for the head coaching position.
So that means that he left the building.
I don't know if he has left Buffalo, but the interview is over.
Oh my! Would you like Dayball
as offensive coordinator? Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. And look, I would love to have good problems. It's been a while since the Titans have had a good problem, right? And losing out on Brian Dable after 1 year with Cam Ward, because he then gets his head coaching opportunity after potentially just missing out on this one, would be a good problem to have. Love good problems.
Yeah.
But the second phase plan there is just as important. And how deep is Robert Saleh's Rolodex offensively? Is it deep enough to feel good about his plan for, hopefully, what the next step will be if and when the offensive coordinator does move on? Because if there is success, whoever Saleh brings in, and there is success to the level that matches Cam Ward's ceiling, then the expectation almost, Blaine, I feel like would be that offensive coordinator getting more head coaching opportunities after next year.
Yeah, I would say it would be, but I think we're all just discounting how hard it is to be the head coach. And if, you miss out on it on this go-round and they would get you, it may take you 2 cycles or 2 seasons to become a head coach again. So, but I'm still planning for plan B. But I just don't, a lot of these head coaches, when they get opportunities, they say, I don't know when I'm going to get that second shot. So he may have to wait and be an OC first. So I'm hoping that's what happens.
That's the best case scenario for you, Brian Dable as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think so. With the people that are available, yeah. Yeah, and I think I would bring in Slowick. He's shown that he can call plays. Want to make sure he's got a good relationship with my quarterback, and then have him in the waiting for the OC job. Yeah, I think that's the good matchup there. Experience, knows the division. Yeah, man, you can't miss. And I think Dayball is a guy who adjusts his offense based off of his quarterback and how they play and what gets them going. I think he has a style about his offense where he, puts it around the skill sets of the quarterback. So I'll be interested to see how much we run RPO, how much we run intermediate to deep plays, because that's Cam Ward likes to look deep early and often. And then what kind of new pieces do they get to play with? I call them new toys at the wide receiver position. You get a burner. You get other guys elevate their game after 1 year in the league. Both DK and Alec, how much better will they get? Or are they just going to get a little bit better at receiver, and they're just going to be good, solid players? Do they have a much higher ceiling, or did they push the envelope and really don't have a lot higher to go because of their skill set and talent level? Because there's a reason why you go in the third, fourth, last round like myself, because you can only reach so high. And then all of a sudden you taper off and you're even. So it'll be interesting to see how much their athleticism takes them to the next level in their growth, because they got a lot of playing time the entire season. I mean, so they may just get a little bit better, maybe not a lot. Cam Ward, on the other hand, maybe in decision-making, goes up, skyrockets, and makes way better decisions, because it's about decision-making. It's not about your athleticism. We know he can make every throw. Does he work on some of the throws that he had issues with, or does he work on his lower body mechanics a little bit more? But, yeah, the ceiling's still there, and you just get him a couple more weapons. I think the sky's the limit for Cam.
615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Of those 5 names, which one sticks out to you the most? Cliff Kingsbury, Arthur Smith, Brian Dable, Adam Stenavich, and Bobby Slowick, the 5 listed by Tom Pelissero as potential options for the Titans offensive coordinator. Do you feel as though Brian Dable has a better resume of adjusting his scheme to fit his personnel, maybe more so than someone like Cliff Kingsbury?
I really don't know a lot about Cliff Kingsbury, besides he put a tight end in, and then he ran, to me, a little bit different offense with RPO, college. I'm not a big proponent of how you tell off every year after you're a coordinator or a head coach and you're calling plays, even in college, and then it takes a dip. I just don't understand why that keeps happening with him. It could be explained by watching film and having conversations with him. So I think Dayball is better. And I know a lot of people look at records and all those things, but sometimes you get those opportunities and maybe it just wasn't meant to be. But I think he fit. Just think about, did they run the same offense they run with the Giants to Buffalo to Alabama with Dayball?
I would say no.
So, right. See, so he put the offense in with the skill sets and the strengths of the players. And that resonates with me, because you're going to have production. You're going to get the best production out of those players. So I would say him more than Kingsbury, only because I know more about him. I didn't watch a lot of Arizona games, and I sure in the heck didn't watch a lot of Commanders games. I only watched the Commanders games when we played them 2 years ago, and he was the OC, and Daniels did a real good job at quarterback, and he kind of changed a little bit. One thing is sure, though, with his offense is the quarterback has to be a running quarterback.
I was about to say, if there's anything that's been consistent about Brian Dable, it's his willingness to lean into that aspect of his quarterback.
I know this is going to sound really weird to you guys. I don't like my quarterback running in the National Football League.
No, I agree.
You see, I want a pocket passer that can run, but is not a runner first, a la Dart, a la Daniels, or whoever you want to put there, a la Murray. I want you to think pass first. I beat you with my arm, because the history tells you in the National Football League, those are the guys that win the Super Bowls. So I want my guy to be mobile, but I don't want him to be a runner. Like, that's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about the quarterback. Like Lamar Jackson, that's why I favor Burrow over Jack. Because guess what? I play defense. I know what I tried to do when I tried to hit them. And I know what guys are a lot bigger than me, a lot stronger than me, what they're trying to do to these guys. They're trying to knock them out. You run, you're making my job much harder. And when you run, you pay. You pay the ultimate price in the National Football League. And these guys now are bigger, stronger. They're trying to hit the hurt. And they're trying to knock them out. And that only can last so long. You may make it through a season, but that next season, that wear and tear get you. Got Daniels, didn't it? Got Murray, didn't it? See, that's why you want the pocket passer who has great pocket awareness, can move the chains, and can scramble, but is not an actual runner. Has capabilities of being a runner, but is not, oh, God, the guy can beat your receivers in running. I don't want him at quarterback.
And there's no question about Cam Ward. He's a pocket passer. He wants to be a pocket passer.
Exactly.
And even to the point where at times last season, we were talking about
force him to run, right?
Get a little more out of that run game, right? Lean into your legs a little bit.
That was true.
That would be such an interesting experiment, I should say, for Brian Dable, who has worked with Jalen Hurts, with Daniel Jones at his career high in rushing under Dable. Josh Allen hit his career high in rushing under Dable. Obviously, Jackson Dart, some of the flashiest plays he made in his rookie year were with his legs, but injury concerns
what did it cost him?
Major with him.
What did it cost him? Four concussions?
Yeah. Yeah, and just this sort of lack of a willingness to change, the way that, he uses his body at the end of those runs, maybe just might be on Jackson Dart alone.
Yeah, right.
But that is one thing that if Brian Dable doesn't get the Bills head coaching job, I think would be one of the number one questions is how much does he lean into that portion of Cam Ward's game?
What is easier? Force Cam Ward to run a little bit more to get some first downs and to be a little more cautious, or telling a running quarterback, hey, man, stop all that running.
Yeah,
because that's a natural instinct to him. See, that's harder to do. But it's much easier to say, hey, Cam, man, you had an open gap right here. We just needed 4 yards. Hey, the guys weren't open. Take off. Take that gap.
The one situation where it's easier to say go than whoa, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
I was just going to say, well, you mentioned Lamar Jackson, too, and obviously that's such a big part of his game, but when have we seen the MVP level out of him when he has gotten more comfortable in the pocket and used that arm that he's developed over time? So it's like, yeah, it's funny because y'all just said it with Cam. At the start of the season, we're like, why are you not taking off?
Right.
Like, just run. And then later in the season, he starts doing it, but you can tell he still wants to get out of the pocket to throw, which I like.
Right. Yeah.
So, as we await the answer on who will call offensive plays for the Titans,
do you think it's going to get done soon? Like before?
I'm not sure where the Bills are with their Rooney Rule requirements. So, obviously, that's a big part of the head coaching search process. So, I'm not sure exactly. I know Anthony Lynn is part of the process. I can't remember if he has already spoken to Buffalo. But Brian Dable's interview has been completed in Buffalo, and he is scheduled to interview on Saturday. Anthony Lynn is. So I think this is a process that's going to take at least the weekend in Buffalo to figure out who their head coach is going to be.
Well, if you were the Titans, you're going to say, hey, man, you got to take this OC. If not, we got to move forward. No.
That's my thing is, like, I guess it's under the assumption Dayball's the number one target for Salah.
Yes.
They've got some time here. So we'll see how the Buffalo search plays out. We know Robert Salah plans to call defensive plays when he takes over as Titans head coach. We'll take the Hitman's thoughts on that coming up next. So as we wait with bated breath on what Buffalo is going to do as it directly impacts the Titans' offensive coordinator search, we already know Robert Salah plans to call defensive plays in his time here, which is a departure from what he did with the New York Jets. Welcome back. Cover 2, presented by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Lucas Panzica with you, filling in for Zach alongside the hitman Blaine Bishop. Ross Johnston making the show happen. Zach out taking his dog to a procedure. So everybody send good vibes to Huxley.
No doubt,
and the Lions family. So wishing them the best. To you, what is the major, is there a big difference in an offensive play calling head coach versus a defensive play calling head coach in terms of maybe how it impacts the game day structure and the CEO sort of responsibilities that come with being a game manager and a head coach on game day?
I think there's different categories of that. And when I say that, I'm talking about, okay, he could call the plays, and I think it actually, defenses, I'm going to say this, is a little bit easier. I'm sure all the coaches would say it's not, but I think calling the defense is a little bit easier in keeping you in their game management mode. You're in tune to the game a little bit more because it's easier. You're just giving like 2 or 3 signals. You know, these long-winded play calls on offense are just exhausting. So it kind of can just be a little distracting, at least from my perspective. But someone's going to have to implement his defensive game plan throughout the week, and that then hence has to be a little bit of an issue because of all the head coach duties you have. You have to have someone you trust in to be implementing the defense, and that knows the defense in and out just as well as you do. And so you have to make sure you stay on top of that. But I actually like the head coach, especially on defense, calling the plays. Now, if you've been a play caller on offense, you've done it your entire career, I'm cool with that too. But if you haven't been, I think it's a lot harder. And that's the things I was saying about Callahan. He was now being a play caller, which he had never done, as well as the head coach. That is a tough task. They act like, you can just learn how to call plays playing video games. It is nothing like that. It is a serious deal, and you have to have somebody to implement it. You have to be on the same page. Almost like you should be able to talk to the quarterback, and that's almost like you can read each other about what you're going to call based off what they're doing. And I never felt like they got to that. I think it's fine that he calls plays. I think it probably keeps him more engaged, in tune with the players too, and especially the energy. You hear a lot about his energy, and most defensive guys bring a lot of energy. And so I'm interested to see how that parlays with not just on offense and but also on the offensive side, because you can kind of lose traction a little bit with the offensive players because you're just spending so much more time there on the defense. And so one thing that I learned from Fisher is I always looked at like, dang, man, he's not talking to the defense hardly any, because he was making sure he was putting in the effort because he knew the defense and would talk to players throughout the week, that on practice field, he was out there talking to all the offensive guys to make sure they understood how important they were to the team as well. So the interaction, understanding the players, their personalities, it's all a gift that leadership brings when you're the head coach. So I like Salah. I think he'll do a good job. I don't think it'll be a distraction for him at all.
Well, that's such an interesting part of this, the energy and demeanor sort of portion of it. Zach Rosenblatt, he covers the Jets for The Athletic. Buck and I talked to him yesterday about Salah getting his second crack at a head coaching opportunity, some of the key differences between that stint and this one, and obviously one of those being the decision to call plays on defense, which he did not do in New York. Jeff Ulbrich,
right.
Defensive coordinator for him with the Jets, who's excellent at that job, going to be doing the same thing for Atlanta. He's been retained by Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta after doing it under Raheem Morris. But part of the article that Zach Rosenblatt wrote for The Athletic, talking about lessons from his Jets tenure that he will apply in Tennessee, there's a section that just says energy and demeanor, where he says, in San Francisco, both in 2025 and during his previous run as their defensive coordinator, he was known for his energetic sideline demeanor. We know this about Salah, right? He's exploding off the sideline after big defensive plays, fired up with his players. It's been a big part of his reputation as a coach. But as the Jets head coach, Rosenblatt writes, he was often criticized for his lack of energy on the sideline as he took on a more CEO approach, letting his coordinators run their side of things so he could focus on the whole operation. He writes, that is a big motivator, it seems, in his decision to take back play calling at his next stop. Quote, from Salah from a December interview. When you're immersed in the game as a play caller, it brings out the emotion in me and gets me excited and connected to all the players and keeps me connected to the game a little bit more. He says, as for his leadership style, Salah often stated that his ultimate goal was to build a culture where the players led themselves. That did not work out in the end in New York, at least not for a Jets team that tried to throw money at a few too many aging veterans. So with the Jets, Salah is kind of stoic. He's arms crossed on the sideline, looking on. And then anytime you've seen him in San Francisco, I mean, he's going nuts on the sideline. And so I thought that was interesting for Rosenblatt to point that out, that it feels like that's a big role in this decision to call plays and feel more connected in game. So we'll see what his demeanor is on the sideline in Tennessee compared to what it was with the Jets.
Well, you know, it's super interesting because there's a part of being a head coach where you want to be somewhat stoic and calm, cool. So you want to make sure you don't want to show any emotion for good plays or bad plays, by the way. So he's trying to find that middling ground, I think, and he thinks that he can do that, maybe by calling plays. I don't know. I think it's personality driven to me. So if that's who you are, then let it show. And if you're an energetic guy and bring a lot of energy as the head coach, I think the players will respect that you got their back on game day. So I appreciate all of that energy as a player.
I will note, because I did watch a lot of Jets games.
Oh, did you?
Being an Aaron Rodgers fan. But he did have his own get-back coach on the sideline.
Did he?
Not even while he wasn't calling plays, so still somebody that, gets real fired up over there. But wouldn't you think it would be like a switch gets flipped? Both of y'all, like, when the defense is out there for us, he's up there, he's getting emotional, all that. And then when the offense goes out there, he's just kind of arms crossed, just chilling.
Yeah, apparently Jets fans did not like that. They didn't think he was energetic enough on the sideline.
The owner said that, and I thought that was kind of interesting that he didn't show any emotion. And,
their owner says a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, sometimes these coaches, when they get, especially in these big markets, they kind of don't become who they really are and try to adjust and change. To me, you just be who you are and let them accept what you are. And if they don't like it, that's on them. So be it. Really. That's a them problem, not a you problem. You be who you are. You don't try to mimic other people. Just be you. If it doesn't work out, guess what? Oh, well, you can say you did it your way.
He's doing it his way in Tennessee. Robert Salah, yet to be announced by the Titans. Buck said earlier today he expects it to happen at some point before the end of the day. So we'll see if that happens.
Also, just real quick, 12 minutes ago, Paul Karski did report that Nick Holtz has been let go by Robert Salah. Not much of a surprise.
Yeah, neither coordinator will be retained. John Bones Fossil will on the special teams side. But yes, unsurprisingly.
No Denard Wilson, right?
No Denard Wilson, no Nick Holtz moving forward here in the Robert Salah era.
Oh, wow. And no other coaches? The reason why I say that is who used to play for the Titans is still on the staff.
One Luke Stalker.
Yeah, exactly. Watch this. There is another player that is still on the staff that played with the Titans.
Oh, one of your former teammates.
yeah, Renee Stewart.
Renee Stewart.
Well, he's a special team, so I would assume that he'll be back. I'm interested to see if there's some other coaches that'll be retained as well. I mean, are they going to just slowly release this out, or are we going to just get a whole boatload of everybody who's back and who's not?
So far, Kaharski has only reported that Fossil will return, as will Tony Oden, the cornerbacks coach, but Denard Wilson and Nick Holtz will not be retained. So we'll continue to monitor updates on that end. Meanwhile, there's a massive...
Stevie Jackson was a safety coach, by the way.
Steven Jackson, was on Brian Callahan's staff. There's a huge story in the world of college basketball that had a development yesterday that will directly affect the Vols this weekend. And we'll get to that and what it means for the sport with Hour 2 of Cover 2 coming up next.
Oops. You may not know this, but there's an auto repair company that pays its mechanics more than any other repair shops they know of in the area. Hey, it's Blaine Bishop for Eurofix. And why would Eurofix do that? A decent technician can make 50 to 60 grand a year, and a good technician that's pretty fast can make up to $120,000 a year. And a really, really fast technician like Ross, who's really, really good, can make up to $180,000 a year as a mechanic. And can you believe that? And a lot of people look down on mechanics, and they shouldn't. Local owner Aaron Stokes is an ex-mechanic, and mechanics are what make the world go round and round. And everything out there has to be worked on. So did you know Eurofix is not open on the weekends? And you say, why? Because Eurofix wants the kids of moms and dads, employees to have the weekends together and not apart. Got to have that family bonding. And Aaron Stokes figured out a long, long time ago, if home life is unhappy, work life is unhappy too. So that's why Eurofix is open Monday through Friday. And Eurofix fixes all vehicles at below dealer pricing. You always get that 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all repairs that Eurofix performs. Got 5 locations in the state of Tennessee and more to come. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX. Or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Good afternoon from the Circus Sports of the Men Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Ross Johnston. In Titans news, Teron Davenport and Paul Karski have reported that Robert Salah will not be retaining defensive coordinator Denard Wilson. However, they will be retaining special teams coordinator John Fossil. Paul Karski also just recently reported that Nick Holtz will be let go as well. Also, potential Titans offensive coordinator Brian Daboll completed an interview with the Bills this morning for their head coach position. Again, the report from Diana Rossini is that if Daboll does not get the Bills head coaching job, he is expected to land in Tennessee. In NFL news, there have been 2 coordinator hires as the Buccaneers are hiring former Falcons offensive coordinator Zach Robinson to be the same position in Tampa Bay, and the Cowboys are hiring Eagles secondary coach Christian Parker to be their new defensive coordinator. Lastly, the NFL has released its award finalists, and there is no Cam Ward or Jeffrey Simmons in the Offensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year categories. The 5 MVP finalists have been announced, and they are as follows: Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, and Matthew Stafford. For all your foundation repair waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans of Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2, presented by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Welcome back. In for Zach Lyons, I'm Lucas Panzica. As always, the hitman Blaine Bishop is here. Ross Johnston making the show happen. We are with you until 3 o'clock. There is a story that has come into the college basketball world a few weeks ago. Baylor did this. Now Alabama is doing this, as center Charles Bediako of the Alabama Crimson Tide has been granted a temporary restraining order, making him immediately eligible for Alabama basketball, despite the fact that he has played in the NBA G League for the last 2 to 3 years. So we saw this with Baylor when Scott Drew and the Bears went out and got a player that also had bounced around in the G League, had not played in college basketball at any point in his career, but was drafted, was a first-round NBA draft pick. James Naji was the name, if I'm not mistaken. A Nigerian international, was drafted from Nigeria in the first round of the NBA draft, bounced around the G League, and now is coming to the college game, and he's been playing for Baylor this season. So that was the first example of this. Coaches were speaking out against it. Tom Izzo, right? Big names in the sport. Now,
I didn't know.
Charles Bediako, a 7-foot center who actually was recruited by Nate Oates out of high school, played 2 seasons for Nate Oates at Alabama, in the 2021-22 season and the 22-23 season. Over that span, Bediako averaged 6.6 points and 5.5 rebounds per game during his time in Tuscaloosa. He was a starter in that 2022-23 team where Bama was a regular season champion in the SEC tournament champion, and the 1 seed in Brandon Miller's team in the NCAA tournament at Alabama. Bediako went on to the draft, did not get drafted in 2023. He has since played for the Spurs, Nuggets, and Pistons affiliates in the G League. And now he's back in the college game, was announced as eligible this year, granted the temporary restraining order. And Nate Oates said yesterday that Bediako will play against Tennessee when they take on Alabama Saturday in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, now hearing the full story, he knows the system and everything. So all he had to do is make sure he's in shape. So that means he's been practicing, right?
He played.
We want to make an assumption.
He played an NBA G League game, I believe, as recently as over a week ago.
Oh man!
So he's in shape. Obviously, he knows how to play this Nate Oates style of basketball. He did it for 2 years for Alabama's program in 21-22 and 22-23 before declaring for the draft, going undrafted. Bounces around in the G League and then decides to come back to college. And since there are no rules anywhere, it seems, in college athletics, Nate Oates and Alabama are doing everything in their power to help their team win. So here is a 23-year-old 7-footer back in the college game after a few years of professional basketball experience, and Tennessee will see him on Saturday.
What are the actual rules? And I'm going to ask you this specific question. Once you declare, even though he wasn't drafted, he's played in G League games, correct?
Correct.
I don't know how you could go back to the NCAA. I just, to me, now you've become a pro. I get getting undrafted, and if he never played and he didn't get in the G League, they let him come back. Okay, fine. But he's played.
He's played
He's been
in
a
the
pro.
professional ranks, yeah. but still has eligibility because he only played 2 years in the college game.
You're uneligible. Now, that's how I view it. I could be totally wrong, and I could be a little bit old school. Maybe you guys can talk me into what you guys think is fair, but that's just, you know what that's like? Oh, man. Blaine, you didn't make the Titans, but you did play on the UFL. So you're the XFL, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to say, oh, you know what? You can come back. You can come back. Since you didn't get drafted, you can come back and play in college. I think you're setting a bad precedent here. Now I made a boo-boo, and now I get to come back. And he didn't do it right away. It was 2 years, right?
Played 2 years at Alabama and then spent 2 years in the G League.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, nah. I might even give him a pass if he did it right away. No way. No. What do you think, Ross?
Well,
what?
I don't like the whole, thing of players being able to play some form of pro ball and coming back. Also with him, and it's not like this is illegal or anything, I just don't like it. He was a starter when Alabama was the 1 seed 3 years ago. He started every game. Just move on.
SEC champs, number 1 seed in the tournament.
You think it's okay?
No, I don't think it's okay.
Exactly.
My very base level view of this is it's not been done right before this year. And there used to be these rules that the NCAA did not fear enforcing. But my very base level understanding of it is there is a fear, I think, with the NCAA of antitrust violations that whenever the NCAA tries to intervene, as they have, like the Nico situation with Tennessee, they just get slapped with lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. And there's so many ways to push these things through that the NCAA just ends up being helpless with. So there's just, in turn, no leadership whatsoever. Because the structure is so out of whack and outdated and took so long to be updated, the cart was put before the horse long ago. And now schools kind of have this wide-ranging freedom to do whatever they want without any fear of repercussions because the structure, the organization that's supposed to hand down the repercussions, fear the repercussions that could hand it right back to them of schools saying, oh, no, we can do this, and here's why, and we're going to go through legal recourse to show you that we can. That's kind of my general understanding of it all, but it's insane. The James Najee thing happened with Baylor, and Nate Oates talked about it. Alabama head coach Nate Oates. This was his quote when that happened a few weeks ago. I think it's taking away opportunities from kids coming out of high school. I was a high school coach for 11 years. I wanted my kids to get opportunities when they left my program. This is taking opportunities away from those kids. That's Nate Oates commenting on Baylor bringing a player out of the pro ranks to come down to, this is like a month ago.
But when
they used to declare freshman year and the guys go pro and then they don't get drafted, they wouldn't even let them come back.
Exactly.
Well, see, this is what my thing with. I think it leads to worse stuff because in the NBA, you could have a two-way contract. You could be on the NBA roster and then be playing in the G League.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Bediako has logged NBA minutes, only a handful of them.
Has he logged NBA minutes? I could not find any.
I was like, did he play? If he played this, there's no way this should have happened.
That's what I'm seeing on NBA.com, at least. It looks like he's played.
Okay, I have not seen that. Just looking at his profile, ESPN profile, and other. I've not seen any NBA play time for Charles Bediako.
It could be G League.
I think he's only gotten G League minutes. I don't think he's ever actually appeared in an NBA game.
That's still pro.
Yeah, it's a professional rank.
My point being is, like, are we going to get to the point where it's like, all right, you've played NBA minutes, but you're on the G League team right now, so you can come back? Like, because that's where it's headed.
Well, Nate Oates.
Anybody, yeah.
Nate Oates changed his tune on it, being asked about it this week.
Well, yeah, it benefits him.
Saying, quote, would I have liked to have just kept it if you're a true amateur and you play college basketball? Probably, but that ship sailed. That's not where we're at anymore. And I hate it. If Charles Bediako, has a double-double Saturday against my team, then I'm going to hate it even more. But I have a hard time faulting Nate Oates for trying to take advantage of it.
Oh, no.
Right? Like, it's right there for the taking. Right. His job is, whatever the current system is at his disposal, utilize it to put your team in the best position to succeed.
Well, no, you just said it. There is no system.
Yeah.
That's why he took advantage of it, because he knew he could. Like, there's no way. That's why I said, what happened to the rules where you declared and then you can't come back? Now we're talking about a guy who was on the G League. I mean, really? Logging minutes?
Well, I have no problem. Guys are able to put their name in the pool and get feedback from NBA teams and then decide if that is completely fine.
Right.
When you decide to go, though, whatever ends up happening, you make an NBA team or G League, you're gone. You're there.
Pro. No. So, okay. So how does this play out? So does that mean you can go play overseas? Just like Ron Slay did, and then be like, no, I'm going to go back to college. What?
It's all on the table.
That means that's what you can do?
It's all on the table.
Slay could suit up Saturday.
Hey.
I'm just like, man, this.
I think Slay might have exhausted his eligibility.
Right. But I'm just saying, I mean, like, I'm just using an example of him where everybody knows who he is. I mean, and he played it pro. And so now you can go back.
Can Tennessee go get Tobias Harris? He only played 1 year in college. He's 33 years old.
Right.
I mean, why not, right? Once he stops getting NBA opportunities, bring him back.
But he did have NBA. He played in NBA.
He did for a long time.
I'm thinking of all my Duke guys now. Like, oh my gosh,
all the guys that didn't make it.
I think
right?
Paolo would have been a senior last year, maybe, or this year. Man, can we get Cooper back? Can we get Con Knipple back?
Oh man,
2 favorites for Rookie of the Year.
Huh?
So
this is
it's all out in the open now.
Yeah.
Do
you blame football for it with the Wild Wild West?
I just blame the NCAA
I'm talking
for it
because that's who they're getting sued by mostly, and then that leads down this road of man, we don't want to go and get sued based off what you said. Again, for things that kind of can be manipulated with the way the rules are set now today.
I blame the NCAA for it. For the years, the generations of living in a false reality
so how do we
of
get
amateurism.
Them to set new rules? Does the government have to get involved?
There could be legislation, technically, right?
To me, that's the only way this is all going to get fixed.
That's all you hear from coaches is it's something that has to happen through Congress, which makes me sit here and think this is just the world we live in. And you're either taking advantage of it or you're falling behind, right? Now we're asking coaches to be, to go by some sort of honor system, which just isn't going to happen.
No.
And I don't blame Nate Oates for not doing that. I don't blame Scott Drew for not doing that. And there are guys that are going to live and die by their values. Tom Izzo is one of those. I think Rick Barnes is probably one of those, although he's evolved with the game in terms of talent acquisition, how to shape a roster. I don't know that Rick Barnes would go this far.
Watch this. If it starts happening enough and he starts losing enough, he will.
Yeah.
He better.
Yeah. I think that's the point. You better.
Like adapt or die.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where we're at. And Tennessee and Alabama tip off at 6:30 in Tuscaloosa Saturday. You can hear the game right here, courtesy of the Vol Network on 104.5 The Zone. But there will be a 7-foot center that has played in the NBA G League for the last few years in action for the Crimson Tide. That's where we're at. MVP finalists have dropped. End-of-year award finalists have dropped in the NFL, and 2 Titans players were left out. We'll tell you who coming up next.
You kidding me? Actually, we are right here with the new year and all those parties that you attended there as the new year begun. You said, I need to come up with my New Year's resolution and lose some of these LBs and get some of this weight loss around the midsection there. Lucas, and the approach to weight loss at Edge Peptide Hormone Therapy is a little bit different. We make sure all the patients have extensive lab work and face-to-face conversation in office with our nurse practitioner to create a customized treatment plan tailored to your specific needs. They use U.S.-based FDA-audited compounding pharmacies because knowing where your peptides come from always matters. Get to enjoy access to their in-body scanner to track weight loss and make sure you're maintaining that muscle mass that you accumulated, right? As well as you get to lower your A1C, keeping your cravings in check, prioritizing protein, and having someone guide you through your journey from start to finish. So call the team at Edge Peptide for all your wellness questions at 615, of course, 724-1878. That's 724-1878, or you can check them out online at edgepeptide.com.
Yo, it's Zach Lyons. If you wear glasses, you already know the struggle. I'm constantly looking for them, waking up blind without them, knocking them off the nightstand. Don't even get me started on vacations. Swimming? Forget it. Fogging up, smudges, scratches. My whole day revolves around these things so that I can see. And the truth is, I've been dealing with blurry vision for years. Glasses help, but they're also a hassle. And lately, I have been seriously thinking there has to be a better way. That's when I started hearing from colleagues here at Cumulus who had vision correction done by Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. And every single one of them said the same thing. They wish they had done it sooner. So I did my homework, I read the reviews, and decided it was time. I'm going to have my vision corrected by Dr. Horn, and I'll walk you guys through the experience step by step before, during, and after. If you're tired of dealing with glasses, contacts, or blurry vision, don't keep putting it off. Call Vision for Life at 615-436-2020 or visit visionforlife.com to schedule your consultation. I'll keep you posted, and trust me, I'm excited to finally see clearly.
Welcome back. Cover 2 is presented by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. Lucas Panzica in for Zach Lyons today, along with the hitman Blaine Bishop. As the Super Bowl is right around the corner, we've got finalists for NFL awards at the end of the year that will be revealed at NFL Honors on the Thursday before Super Bowl Sunday. So we have MVP finalists. They are Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Christian McCaffrey, Drake May, and Matthew Stafford.
Ooh, I predicted Josh Allen before the season.
You predicted Josh Allen MVP?
Yes, I did.
Who's your MVP of the 2025 season?
I'm going Josh Allen.
You believe
I'm
Allen?
what I called.
Ross?
I'm going to go Matthew Stafford. I think he's just the numbers.
He is phenomenal, though. Good Lord.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Stafford, man. He's throwing those no-look passes, man. It's just laughable. Like the guy do that in the real game.
There's really only 2 of the AP awards that the Titans would have any contention for, and they would be Offensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. When I say contention for, I mean contention to be a finalist.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in agreement. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year. Yes?
Yeah.
In the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Jeffrey Simmons did not make the cut, Blaine. First team All-Pro, career year, missed almost 3 games this season, a career high in sacks and tackles for loss, his first double-digit sack season. The Defensive Player of the Year finalists are Myles Garrett, Will Anderson Jr., Nick Bonito, Aiden Hutchinson, and Micah Parsons.
All
Was
pass
Simmons
rushers.
snubbed? All pass rushers.
Right, Ross?
That's what I'm saying. It's an edge rusher thing nowadays.
And
Is
it's
what it
almost
seems.
like offensive, you get only quarterbacks. I saw McCaffrey's in there, too, as well, right?
McCaffrey, the first player in NFL history to be a finalist for 3 AP NFL awards in the same year.
Comeback player? What else?
Yeah, Offensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, and MVP. He's a finalist for all 3.
Yeah. And I just feel like Jeff should be on there, at least on the list. I'm not saying he should win it, but, man, I think some things that may have hurt him, maybe just because he wasn't on a winning team. But, I mean, man, you think about the kind of impact he had on games. I mean, okay, we got to see who's probably going to win it. Myles Garrett, right? We got to see him and Myles Garrett on the field at the same time, in the same game. And we walk away, at least I did. I'm going to speak for myself. I walked away from that game saying Big Jeff impacted that game more than Myles Garrett for his team. Big Jeff impacted the game more, I'm going to say it again, for his team than Myles Garrett. And that was eye-opening for me. But here's why. There's 2 things here. He has the most sacks as a D tackle. I think that's right. If I'm wrong, correct me. I'm just going off the top of my head. He took on probably more double and triple teams being a defensive tackle. And as well as I said that he impacted the game when they went head-to-head with the guy we all believe who's going to win it. And so I thought he should have at least been on the list. So I just think there's some biases there as far as position, not necessarily against Jeff, just position. As we see all pass rushers, defensive ends, and we see almost all quarterbacks. So I just think, they got to start looking at, more than just those impactful positions. I think they are all great players, but I think he should have been in the running. I mean, man, I think his stats, what does his stats stack up against some of these? What is it like Bonito? What is his numbers?
He finished tied for 11th in sacks on the year.
What was his numbers? Like, what? No, I'm talking about like how many sacks?
11 on the year is
11.
what they credit him with.
Jeff had 11 and a half?
Just
No,
11.
Bonito had 14.
Oh, Bonito had 14.
But I'm saying Jeff, as far as the whole league goes, tied for 11th in sacks.
Oh, I got you.
Now, the next defensive tackle is Brandon Dorless from Atlanta with 8.5. So he's beating D tackles out by 2.5 sacks on the year with missing 2 games.
No, what I was trying to get at is he beating any of the defensive ends with sacks?
Of the ones that were named finalists.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Let me see here. I'm looking
I
at
know it's not
postseason
Myles
numbers.
Garrett. That's why I was asking what are Bonito's numbers.
Right.
So Bonito had 14.
So
Hutchinson and Bonito are in the top 5, so they haven't beat out, and so is Parsons.
See,
Hasn't beat out.
and then
yeah, Simmons did not have more sacks than any of the finalists. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Myles
I got a good
Garrett
argument then.
had 23, an NFL record. which was a buzzer beater, by the way. He got that 23rd sack with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter of the regular season finale against Joe Burrow. Danielle Hunter actually had more sacks than Will Anderson.
I was just seeing that.
Yeah, 15 to Will Anderson's 12. Obviously, it's a little bit deeper than just the number, but just a ferocious duo all year. Nick Bonito, 14 sacks on the season, and Micah Parsons, 12 and a half playing in 14 games towards the ACL at the end of the year.
Yeah.
How did Hunter get beat out by his own teammate?
Well,
They essentially have the same stats across the board, but he has 3 more sacks.
Hunter is one of the most disrespected players in the National Football League as far as what he is. But, man, this guy, he consistently has done it. I mean, man, he may have over 100 sacks already. I don't know, man. He's on a record pace from his days. That's the same guy from Minnesota. Oh, man, this guy.
He missed time, too. I think he missed a full season dang near with a neck injury in the early 2020s. So...
Yeah, played in all 17 games this year. Turned 31 in October, Danielle Hunter.
Did Mike Jones make it the D tackle? Is that his name, right?
Who?
For the Chiefs. What's his
That was
name?
good.
I said the wrong name. But I want to say last year when he had like double-digit sacks. I know he didn't this year.
Chris Jones had 7 sacks this year.
I know. How many did he have last year, and did he make it as a finalist? Because you want to compare it to, like, are they really being
Right.
biased to D tackles when they have a phenomenal year? And I know Jones, they say Chris Jones, Mike Jones, that was my teammate. Mike Jones.
Still tipping.
Yeah, it's just wow. It's hard when you see a D tackle. I don't think I've ever played with, and I played with some really great ones that had 11 sacks in a season.
Defensive
I didn't play
tackles.
with Ainsworth. I played with, man, it was early in my rookie year. I don't think those guys were 11 and a half sacks.
Yeah, obviously you did not play with Jarrell Casey.
No. So man, just to
Jarrell
see
never had 11. 10 and a half was his career
That's
high.
what I'm saying. That is a phenomenal stat for a D tackle, man.
So I can't find the finalists by year, but Chris Jones has had 15 and a half sacks twice in his career. 2022
My
and
goodness.
2018, which is freaky.
That's phenomenal. I guarantee you he was a finalist.
Oh, had to be. Yeah.
Has he ever won Defensive Player of the Year? Surely. Chris Jones has won.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
He is not.
Wow.
Aaron Donald was the D tackle racking
Yeah,
him up.
he went up against
What
Aaron
was his
Donald.
numbers as far as sacks?
Oh, man.
On average, if you just pick a number.
I'm not pulling it up. I think Lucas is. If I had to guess, I'm going to say 11.
Yeah, what do you think Aaron Donald's career high in sacks was?
15.
Say 16 and a half.
20 and a half.
What?
I forgot about
Oh,
that.
my.
2018, he had 20 and a half sacks. That's just stupid production. He's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, just hand him the yellow jacket right now.
Outside of that season, 13 and a half was the highest total he reached in 2020, but 20 and a half
Okay,
sacks.
okay.
Unbelievable.
But so with this year for Jeff, I think he's fighting an uphill battle in 2 ways. Because one, edge rushers or a corner with a lot of picks are guys that are getting this award, really. Outside of Aaron Donald,
Yeah.
but we know who Aaron Donald is.
he was
Also, you mentioned it before the show to me, Blaine, the market. I mean, all these guys are bigger name guys than Jeff, arguably, because of the market. I'm not saying they're all better players than him,
Right.
but you look at Parsons, Hutchinson, Garrett, even Will Anderson this year with what Houston's done. They're just bigger names at the moment.
Hey, man, just to have a phenomenal season. He was first-team All-Pro, right? Man, that well-deserved. Man, that has to me, in some form or fashion, put him on the list. Maybe he just missed out, but wow.
615-737-1045 if you want to chime in. Did Jeffrey Simmons get snubbed? Not named a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. He is the Titans nominee for Walter Payton Man of the Year for the 3rd straight season. So we'll see if Jeffrey Simmons is
That's
able
huge, man.
to earn that award. Obviously, very prestigious. Offensive Rookie of the Year. No Cam Ward. I don't think we were necessarily expecting to see Cam Ward as a finalist here. He hasn't really been in those discussions. Jackson Dart, if we want to have a discussion about market, pushing one player over the other. Was Jackson Dart that much better than Cam Ward in his rookie
he's on
season?
the list, or they
He's a
gonna-
finalist for Offensive Rookie of the Year, along with Emeka Egbuka, Travion Henderson, Tet McMillan, and Saints quarterback Tyler Shuck.
I got issues, but it's fine.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, it's no surprise because Shuck beat him out for all rookie team, correct? Am I wrong on that? I thought he did. And so that was the sign there that he wasn't going to be part of this group.
He was named on the all-rookie team.
Tyler Shuck was.
I think Shuck is destined to be the offensive rookie of the year.
Yes. That one there is not as surprising.
Yeah.
Probably going into the season, you would have assumed who would probably make it. But, yeah, tough.
Coach of the year? Does Mike Vrabel win Coach of the Year? Is that a shoo-in?
Ooh, I would say Liam Cohen.
Liam Cohen is a finalist, along with Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald, and Kyle Shanahan, and, of course, Vrabel.
I would have Shanahan and Vrabel right there. But sometimes, and I'm being biased, because once you've seen them do it before, and they've gotten an award before, now they're really competing against themselves, where Liam Cohen went into a horrible situation, turned it around, got his quarterback looking like a first pick of the draft, did some phenomenal, made it to the playoffs in one season. Like that's pretty tough to do. They had a talented team, but he brought it all together in his first year as a head coach ever.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say Liam Cohen. Before today, I probably, towards the end of the season, I probably was leaning a little bit with Shanahan with all the injuries that they had to overcome. Vrabel right there in the hunt. But I feel like it was at Liam Cohen for me.
It does feel like one of those years, don't y'all think, where like any of those guys could win it and you understand it?
Yeah. I think so.
I would have liked Shanahan too because of the injuries.
Shanahan.
I mean, he's already one of the best coaches in the league already, but with what they dealt with, the electrical substation and all.
But here's what happens now with the voting, even though it's only supposed to be about regular season. If Vrabel and those guys win this game, there's a part of you still go, oh, man. Vrabel did it.
How do you eliminate that from your subconscious?
Right, exactly. And that's probably where I would be. That's why I do not vote for any of these things. Because I'll be like, Vrabel won.
It would have to permeate, right?
Yes.
Like it would have to. How does it not?
See what you saw.
Like, they would have had the number one pick if Joe Milton didn't come in and go crazy in Week 18 last year. Like, and now they might be in the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh, that's unbelievable.
615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Cedric is up next. Hey, Cedric.
Man, what's up, LP, man? Listen, you got to be like the MVP of the radio station, man. Hosting the morning show, midday host, now you're hosting this show. Have you hosted 3HL yet, man?
I did on New Year's Eve with Slay. MVP is strong, Cedric. I'd say utility player.
You are
give me. I'll just be the Cordero Patterson, all right? Like, you can hand it to me, you can throw it to me, maybe I'll return a kick.
You need to set your standard higher. You make your goals higher. You are the MVP. You just wanted to get 10 sacks, and you wanted to get the MVP, man.
Hey, we got to call it like we see it, man.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Thanks, Cedric. What you got, man?
Hey, Blaine, so this is a question for you, man. As we look for an offensive coordinator, I want to take this in a different direction.
Okay.
With you being a pro safety, what are the top two offenses that, like, kept y'all up at night? Like, man, this scheme, this system, man, we got to prepare for this. I'm curious to hear your take on that as we look for an offensive coordinator. And with that, which one of those systems do you think would be best for Cam Ward as we move forward, man? So I appreciate your insight, man.
Man, I mean, all the offenses bring different things. Naturally, the greatest show on turf from my era was, but it was also the players. Marshall Falk, Bruce, Holt, Warner. And that was tough, man. It took everything in our power to match up. And I would say, even though we beat them, I really have a lot of respect for the Jaguars. Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell, Freddie T was. I don't understand why he's not. He may be the best running back that I played against, and I'm all serious. It's just because of their talent levels of what they could accomplish. And they were versatile. They could all do everything really well. And that's kind of how I judge players. They're not just good at one thing. He wasn't just a speed back. He could block. He could catch. He was phenomenal at all of it and was a great runner, obviously. So I would say those offenses that, maybe it's a little outdated now to what they run. But, now they throw the ball so much more than in that era. I would say... I would think that's why Cam Ward being in a system where he is throwing to his strengths, which is intermediate to deep down the field, and a coach who's well versed with designing those kind of plays. When I watch the Rams and all that McVay tree and Shanahan tree. I see all of that. Puka Nacua. I don't know. I watched the Rams play the Seahawks 2 other times before this national. They play them. I saw Puka Nacua run the dig and dagger route. I call it the dagger route, which means you have a clear out by one guy and a guy running the dig, which was Puka every time, out of multiple formation sets. But it looked different, but he ended up in the same spot every time. So, players make systems, and you got to have the right one. So I would say making sure you get that. Is that what his question was?
Yeah. I love hearing you talk about defending Fred Taylor.
Yeah. Oh, I can add something to that.
It is officially official.
What?
Robert Salah, the 20th coach in Titans franchise history. The Titans have put out the graphic, the welcome graphic with Robert Salah. Adam Schefter has reported it is a 5-year deal as the Titans take the former Jets head coach, former San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator, and they have their man. No press conference date has been announced yet. I don't expect it to be before the end of the week. Probably at some point next week. Of course, we are all still watching what happens in Buffalo. Brian Daboll's process up there, trying to be the head coach, but potentially, if that does not pan out, to be the offensive coordinator under Salah. But the Titans have made it official about 2 days after we learned through reporting that Robert Salah will take over in Tennessee.
So now it's official. So he should have his own separate press conference, right? Or is that just the wrong thought process? Or do we wait till he hires his OC?
No,
It'll be his own thing.
Yeah, he'll have an introductory presser.
Okay, so I saw Harbaugh have his, so I was just making sure.
He will. Harbaugh, I think the expectation there is Todd Monken will be Harbaugh's offensive coordinator if he doesn't land the Browns job, which he is still in contention for, it seems like.
Oh, really?
To be head coach.
Jesse Minter just dropped out of.
Jesse Minter seems like he's in contention to be the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens still. So a lot of moving parts still in this coaching carousel, man.
Isn't that
10 openings.
Insane that there's still 6 openings left?
6 openings left. Yeah, Robert and I were talking about this morning. At this point last year, had most of the jobs been filled, and it would have been this weekend last year that all of the T's were crossed and I's were dotted in the coaching search. So I think by the end of this weekend, we'll have a lot more answers on the 6 jobs still open. But just a lot of dominoes, right? A lot of, okay, if that happens, then this, right? If Todd Monken doesn't get the Browns head coaching job, he'll be the Giants offensive coordinator. Same with Brian Daboll in Buffalo as it pertains to Tennessee. So there's a lot to sort through here.
What about the Steelers, though?
Pittsburgh still has not made a hire. Mike McCarthy, that's kind of been the smoke.
Because he's from there.
Some Flores smoke.
Brian
is
Flores.
there. Shula.
He signed a decent
Weaver.
He did sign an extension with Minnesota just in case. Yeah.
What'd you say there, Ross?
I was just saying, so they interviewed McCarthy, like Lucas said. Flores has gotten a lot of steam. Shula, and then I believe Weaver has as well, but it doesn't seem like he's gathered as much steam with the Steelers as those other 3 have.
Is there any connection to...
Now ask me about Arizona if I've got anything for you, because I don't.
Who in the world are the Cardinals going to hire? Well, Robert Salah was supposed to interview there on Tuesday. Titans didn't let him leave. I don't know who the number 1 candidate is, to be totally honest with you.
I mean, there's nobody on their list?
Surely, I can't remember who they've talked to in person to this point. I don't know who the Raiders are closing in on, if anybody either. I mean, I don't envy Monty Austin-Fort, man. Like, to be the GM of the Cardinals right now and be in charge of a coaching search for a franchise that is locked into the best division in football. The NFC West was insane this year. Doesn't have a real plan moving forward at quarterback. Nobody really knows what's going to happen there with Kyler Murray, who didn't play the back half of the season, maybe more. Jacoby Brissett kind of took over there.
Well, he was injured.
Injured, yep. And otherwise, there's just not a lot that's attractive about that job.
I think Bidwell just needs to sell that team, man. That hasn't been working out too well.
I mean, but we don't even know who's on the docket to even interview?
I'd be lying if I said I've been totally up to date on the Cardinals coaching search. I'm not sure.
You see Adam Schefter and everybody who's the national
that's the thing.
guys.
The national guys, there hasn't been much about it.
Nothing.
Yeah. I think Anthony Campanelli might be a favorite there. I don't know.
Are they even bringing people in? That's just crazy.
Reportedly, Anthony Campanelli, the Jaguars defensive coordinator, does have a second interview.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Would you figure with them, they're going to have to get a first-time guy. I don't see any experienced guy taking that job.
Yeah, I think he's been a candidate in Baltimore as well, Campanelli.
And no Raiders info. We're talking about Steelers, Raiders, some historical organizations here, man.
The Cardinals interviewed Joe Brady the other day as well, the Bills offensive coordinator, who's also a candidate in Buffalo. But it's not an enviable position for Monty Ossenfort, I would say. Tough.
Would you, watch this, outside the box, I know you guys, Ross probably heard me. Would you interview at any of these organizations Kurt Signetti?
If Kurt Signetti
if you're
would,
the Arizona Cardinals,
100%.
Oh, yeah. What do you got to lose?
But Kurt Signetti has publicly stated, and you know what? He's backed it up. This man has no interest in coaching in the NFL.
Oh, I know. And then he got a bonus there, so he made like $15 million this year.
Yeah, and if there was ever a year where Kurt Signetti's stock would be sky high, it would be right now. This would be the moment to strike. He's a Pittsburgh native, but immediately has shot down any questions about. He said his quote, I believe, was, "I made the decision a long time ago. I'm a college football coach," and that's what he's going to be.
Yeah.
Trying to establish a dynasty
Do you
at this
believe
point.
what most coaches say?
No, yeah, good. It's a fair point.
That's what I'm getting at. All he did was raise the stakes of pay right there.
Yeah.
You really want to give me, you better come bring the funk right now.
Yeah.
And so that means that probably 16 and above.
Yeah.
This might be stupid, but in my head, I'm not ruling out Marcus Freeman yet. I haven't seen anything. I have no reason to believe that at all.
Yeah, he hasn't been. I don't think he's had any tangible conversations. He's kind of shot it down at every turn. Now, he has allowed those reports to get out there, right?
Yeah.
That, Marcus Signetti, to his credit, has either, whether back channeling or in the public, said, no, don't even consider it.
Oh, it's purely conspiratorial on my part.
Yes.
Oh, me too. I just like at some of these teams that are not interviewing that are kind of at the bottom of the list, you go, man, they're not in. Wait, man, what do you have to lose? Hey, man, go. If you gave Signetti, if you're the Arizona Cardinals, $20 million a year. So, hey, you think he would say no? I don't know. You got to convince him. And the only way to convince him is that moolah.
I do know Robert Salah has released a statement upon being named the Titans head coach, and we'll get to that next.
He made me safeties coach. The legendary coach Lou Holtz once said, before people spend money, they ask 3 questions. Can I trust you? Are you committed to excellence? And do you care about me? Hey, friends, it's Blaine Bishop for Eurofix. And Eurofix has built its business on answering those 3 questions with a bold yes. So back in 1999, owner Aaron Stokes was by himself with a 1-car garage in downtown Franklin. And a few months later, Aaron moved to a shop in a barn behind his house so he could stay close to his family while building his dream of offering the best service on European vehicles at below dealer pricing. And fast forward to today, and that barn's long gone, and Eurofix is thriving with 5 locations in Tennessee, Nashville, Franklin, Bellmead, Murfreesboro, and Mount Juliet, and more to come, I'm sure. Yes, it will be. And all work comes performed with a 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty, plus a rental car available with every appointment. So go ahead and ask yourself, can you trust us? Do we care? And are we committed to excellence? And I think you'd say yes when you see how we treat you. So call and book today at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always call 844-EUROFIX. Always 844-EUROFIX.
It is official. The Titans have announced Robert Salah as the 20th head coach in franchise history. The team has put out the graphic. Robert Salah has put out a statement. Welcome back. Wrapping up Cover 2, presented by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Zach Lyons will be back at it with Blaine tomorrow. I'm Lucas Panzica, glad to be stepping in. So here's the quote. Robert Salah, for me, this was the most desirable location, the most desirable team. What I learned about the organization, the more phone calls I made, the more people I spoke to, this building, I feel like it fits me, will fit us the best. The people here are unbelievable, and they are the type of people you want to work with. I am incredibly grateful for the opportunity, and I am really excited about the city of Nashville and bringing a winner back to the city.
Woo, I can't wait.
Robert Salah. Do not see a press conference scheduled yet, so that has not quite happened.
But they emailed you because you're the MVP of the station. You got the email.
Our very own Buck Rising has some news on that. We may have already known this, Lucas. But
go ahead.
Press conference next week as he attends to a previously scheduled family obligation. He wants the whole squad, which includes 8 children, to be in attendance at the press conference.
I saw that he has 8 children.
So the whole Salah clan will be there next week.
Oh, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah. 22nd head coach in franchise history. I misspoke when I said the 20th. The statement continues. Salah says, quote, I believe that championships are won by people. When I had a chance to meet with the ownership group over the last 24 to 48 hours, it was an absolute no-brainer that the right people are in the building. The right people are here, and anytime you can surround yourself with the right people, you know you are in the right spot.
Always about the people.
So there you go. Robert Salah will call plays defensively, and the next step is who will run the offense and be in charge of Cam Ward's development moving forward here.
If they don't get Dayball, who you with?
Cliff
Slowick?
Kingsbury. You know what? I like Bobby Slowick.
Slowick?
Yeah.
He's a young guy.
Has familiarity with Salah. Has experience as a play caller. We already have the Salah Liam Cohen kind of saltiness.
Yeah.
Right, let's add to it. Bobby Slowick, kind of a icy departure from Houston.
Oh.
Well, let's make the AFC South spicy again.
Might threaten C.J. Stroud after the game, something. Who knows?
Oh, throwing throwing pot shots out here.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah. Oh, there we
Only
go.
good fun.
Jim Wyatt, 7 minutes ago. Robert Saleh's introductory press conference with the Titans is scheduled for next Wednesday at 2 p.m.
Oh,
Cover
in
2.
Nashville, right in the middle of cover 2.
Covered it. Yes. Oh, great. Doing us a favor.
There you go.
Appreciate it, Ty.
Be careful this weekend. Snowmageddon coming down. Are you guys prepared? You've got your doomsday scenario already?
Yeah, in case we lose power and everything else. Yeah, I got the heaters and everything ready to rock and roll.
We don't get a snow game this weekend in the NFL. No conference championship snow game. Denver's going to be cold. I think it's going to be in the teens, but no snow.
You got an early prediction? You and Ross?
I might have to say mine for tomorrow. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say the Patriots win. I'm not believing in Jarrett
There's
Stidham.
another game. What's the other
I'll
game?
wait on that one for tomorrow.
Seahawks.
Give me a Rams-Broncos Super Bowl. I think Sean Payton finds a way. Figures Patriots schedule catches up to him.
Who'd you say? Rams and Broncos?
Rams-Broncos.
Oh, I'm going Seahawks versus the Broncos.
I think I'm going to go
Jarrett
Rams.
Stidham, hey, I've watched some film on him. Sean Payton's going to come all in. He is not going to be, we're going to run left, run right. He is going to let this guy's got a big arm. By the way, he's playing the team who drafted him in the 4th round in 2019. Yep. Jarrett Stidham, payback is always a you know what.
I'll take Rams Patriots. I think despite, Jarrett Stidham and Sean Payton's maybe bounty gate or whatever, that New England will win.
Well, Robert Saleh official, and we will hear from him on Wednesday. 3HL is coming up next. Appreciate you guys having me, man.
No, I appreciate you having me too as well, man. Always good with you.
Always. But in the meantime,
And in between time, peace.